Hello everybody, today I am making myself another pincushion. It's been a while since I've made one. I love making pincushions. I think it's just one of those in-between craft projects you can do, and they're practical. They don't have to be, you can have them just as decoration. But I do love a nice pincushion, and a few years ago I found this balsa wood box at the op shop here. It was actually broken. You can see it's got a crack here and here, and it was actually coming all apart at the bottom, but I did glue that part. Then I put it away, and I've just come across it again and thought the base of this will make a lovely pincushion. I'm not going to use the lid. I can use that for something else down the track, but I will use the base. It's a lovely depth for a pincushion as well. So what I've done is I have placed it on some just cotton fabric, and I sketched around it, leaving about a 1/2 inch gap, and then I've cut the same about another 1/2 inch around that as well. And I'm just okay. I'm just going to stitch that and leave a little opening. I'll stitch it inside there, leave a little opening, and I'm going to fill that with some walnut shell. Now you can use rice, you can use sawdust. I just happen to have a good supply of walnut shell, so I'm going to put that in there. And what that is going to do is that is going to weight this very light box. It's not going to come all the way up to the top. That would take a lot of stuffing, as I found out with my pincushion over there. It's just going to be at the base, and then I'm going to use wadding, stuffing to make the top layer. And so when the pins go in, they'll go into the top layer, but if they go in further, they will hit the walnut shell, and that will help keep them in good condition. It will also keep them sharp as well, and it will weight down my box. You can, like I said, you can use rice, you can use sawdust, you can use whatever you can get just to weight the bottom of your lightweight box. If you have one, if you don't have one, that's fine. You won't need that extra weight at the bottom. So I'm just going to go and sew this and stuff it, and then I will be back. Okay, so I've filled half of it quite thick, and that should be half that size when I distribute it out. So I'm just going to stitch that little gap up. Now I did make a little paper funnel because I had to get my walnut shell out of a bag like this, and this just made it so much easier. To deal with. So put that away. I might just leave that funnel in there for next time. I will just that's not very okay. I'm just going to slip stitch that, which is I've moved all my pins. I have been working on my journal of stitchery, and I still have some to do, and all my needles are kind of threaded up for that at the moment, and that's been taking quite a lot of my time. That's far too big. Got the wrong glasses on. I don't think I will finish my journal of stitchery before the new one starts. I really wanted to, but every time I look at it, I see something else I want to do. So it's going to go over. It's just one of those things. I don't particularly like having unfinished projects, but it happens sometimes. So what I'm going to do is just take that in like that, so that the knot gets hidden, and I've double threaded this just so it's nice and strong. And then I'm just going to take a little stitch on one side and a little stitch on the other side, and that will close it up like that. This won't be seen. You could do this on the machine if you want to. I just don't want a chance getting the walnut shells in my machine, although I don't think I would. So I'm going to go that way, and then I'm going to come back the other way, just so any gaps are kind of filled up. Okay, so that's done. Let's see how it looks. Hopefully I put enough in. I'm sure I did. So there we go. Hopefully that fits in there. Oh no. Oh, I can. Oh my goodness, that's a bit bigger than what I expected. I think it will be all right. Because walnut shells are great for pincushions. I made the bag a bit big, didn't I? Unless if I put more walnut shells in there, it will give it more volume, and I won't have to put the stuffing in. I'll just have walnut shells like I do for this one over here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is unpick this, add some more walnut shells, and hopefully that will fill it all up and it will be a walnut shell pincushion. I'll go ahead and do that, and then I'll come back. Okay, so now the cushion is far too big. So I've put a running stitch going down there, and I'm hoping that might help to adjust it. It's going to be very full, but that's okay. Wasn't my intention, but I'll work with what I've got here. So the idea of the running stitch is just to take up some of the slack of that extra fabric and help it to lay the way I want it to lie. See, without it, it's all loose and puffy. With it, it helps it to lie better. Does it need a bit more, I wonder? I don't think so, because it's only up here that I have a problem. And it doesn't matter how much I adjust everything, it always seems to have that problem with too much fabric here. So I'm just going to gather it up, maybe a couple more. Yeah, okay. That's what I will do. Then we'll take it back the other way, like that. think that will work. I think that will work. It's a feature. It's not going to be this cotton fabric. That was never my intention for it to be this cotton fabric, but that helps it to fit better in the box. Okay, I still need to, I think I need to put a bit of tape over that. How are we going to fix that? It will be covered, but I just, maybe I'll use a washi tape or something. Okay, I've got, oh, okay, there's one in this box, and I think it's got animals on it. I probably will never use it. It is nice, but it's got dogs and things on it, so might as well use it around here, which will be covered, just to help strengthen that and keep it in check. Okay. Yeah, that should be fine. It'll just, once it's got the other outer covering on, it will be a lot stronger. Okay. Okay, now I need to find something to cover that with. I'll be back. Oh, I'm sorry, I've had my light in the way. I do apologize for that. Okay, I'm back. I've got some beautiful silk satin fabric here. I got that from the Silk and Stitch store. Thank you, Christine, for enabling that. Thought I'd better start using some of it. And this beautiful lace from Lavish Laces, it has that triangular look to it, and I thought it could work well with a heart as well, as long as I'm positioning it right. Let me think, where can I do it, there or there? I think there. Go up like that. I used a lid as a template, but I just, on this side, see, I drew a pencil line around the template and then left a bit of space, not as much as last time. And I've just darkened the point here, the point down the bottom, and two bits on the side, so I can see it through the fabric and I know where to lay this down, basically. Why does that look so big? Oh, I see. Yep, that's right. Okay. I'm just positioning these curved points here on the curved point of the heart and trying to make sure it's going to be straight. So like that. Let's get some pins. I've got so many pins used on other projects at the moment. It looks fairly close. I like using satin, but I don't like satin on pin cushions because the fabric does pull. So if I use satin, I tend to cover it in lace because I don't want to see any pulls to it. Run out of those ones. Okay. Now I'm going to have to Do a bit of patching down the bottom here. What can I use to patch down the bottom there? Let me get the lace. Maybe I can just, because it goes like that, maybe I can trim it a little bit. Like that. Like that. Like that, and now I can have a look. Let's see how that goes. See how I've just, because I didn't want it going like that, kind of just want to patch it up a little bit down the bottom there, like that. Might work. Yep, that will work. Okay. And I will stitch that on with the sewing machine. I will stitch down like that and up like that. I will stitch around like that and down like that, and then all around the edge of the heart as well, and then see what it looks like, whether it's held in place well enough. I think I'll have to pin it from the other side though, because I'm going to follow the outside. Oh, I'll do this side first, and then I will pin from the other side and do the outside so I can see where I'm stitching. There, okay. Okay, I'll be back shortly. Okay, so that's done, and I've just hand stitched across the bottom to join that lace. I'm just going to cut it out now. I don't think it's completely straight. The satin does have a habit of moving around when you're stitching it, so we'll just have to see how we go. So the lace is a little bit off, but I don't think it's going to be too bad. I can always put a flower or a bow or something on it, I guess. Now the hard part is getting it in here. I'm going to have to put some little, like that. I'm not taking it all the way down to the stitching. So we'll put some notches in it as well, just to help it fit in there better, I hope. Okay, so just going to try and push it in with this, I think, first, and then see if I can slide the glue in there. See what it looks like first, shall we? Have I made it big enough this time? Might not be big enough. Oh, I just had a thought. Hang on. I was a bit worried how I would get the glue in there, but I just sort of had a thought. I'll get this in first. It's not looking too bad, is it? Looks nice and vintage looking. Handy little tools, these. Very handy little tools. Well, oh, time to use the other end. Okay. Okay, let's have a look how we're looking there. That looks all right, doesn't it? It does. It's such pretty lace. And with the white behind it, very pretty. Okay, so instead of trying to shove glue down the side and making it look all even, what I thought I would do is just put a bead of glue around there and then put a trim around there to finish it off. I think that is the easiest way to do this. Let me see what trims I've got. Okay, so I've got this beautiful lace from Lavish Laces, and hopefully I have enough of it. I hope. If not, we'll cross we'll cross that road when we get to it. What I'm going to do is put a running stitch in it, and I'm going to put it about there, not quite halfway, so that it will ruffle like that and give me a double ruffle. And that way I can put it around the edge of the box and it will look quite pretty. I'm hoping I have enough of this lace. So let me go. I'm going to do that on the machine, just on a large number 4 stitch. I may do 2 lines of it just to make it extra secure and then ruffle it up. So, but what I might do, because that sat quite nicely there, what I might do right now is I'm going to put a few pins in it to hold it in position so it doesn't move on me. Because it's a pin cushion, I can do that. And I'm going to put some glue in there now so that that is secure in its position before I put the ruffle on. And for that, I'm just using a craft glue. This is the Helmar craft glue. And it doesn't matter if I can see it because it's going to be covered by the ruffle. I just want to make sure I've tucked most of that down. And this is fairly fast drying, although it is winter here, so it could make a liar out of me. And I'm just going to let it seep down into that crack around the edge, which will hold it into place nicely, and then we'll cover it over. It is important not to use glue in the middle of your pincushions. Like, obviously I'm not going to be putting pins around the edge of it here, but don't put glue, you know, don't stick a flower on with glue or anything in the middle, because your pins won't go through the glue. So you do have to be aware of that. If you've got a hot glue gun, you could quite easily do this with a hot glue gun. Glue guns and me just don't. I wish we did. We don't get along. For some strange reason, we just don't get along. So, made that a bit messy, didn't I? Hopefully that'll be all right. A little bit more. Little bit more. Just going to hold that down firmer there. And hopefully that will all sink in as it's sitting there. So I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to fuss around too much, although I would like to push that down there a little bit more. There. All right, leave it. Let me clean off this. This one I leave on my desk for using for this sort of thing. I have another one over near my sewing that doesn't go near glue whatsoever. So I'm just going to go and ruffle the lace up now. Okay, I don't know if you can see that double gathering line. And then I just take the top thread of both of them, like that, and I gently pull it in to ruffle it up. I get to about halfway, and then I do the same thing coming back the other way. And hopefully this will do the job just fine. It doesn't need to be over gathered, because that will fold up like that and give a nice kind of, you know, double ruffle effect. So I will keep going with this, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've put that through, and I've kind of just measured it like that. It's kind of a guess that it will be enough. And then I'm just going to tie the ends so they don't stretch out. Okay, done. I'm still leaving a tail on them at the moment. And let's just, we kind of want all the gathers fairly even. Like they don't have to be perfect, but even is good. It seems to be a little bit tighter at one end than the other, so we'll just move them all along just a little and share it out a little bit. Okay. Okay. So this, it's drying. It's not perfectly dry, but it's hopefully dry enough. I'm just going to push those pins down. I'm not going to take them out just yet. And making sure I've got my lace the correct way. I want the right side facing me. I'm going to be pushing it in there. I'm wondering whether a little silicone, maybe this would be good for that, so it doesn't stick or anything. I'm going to put another layer of glue around it now to do this. Okay. It's tempting to want to either start here or here, but because I want the ends probably overlapped at the end, it's probably best to start it on the side there. So let me just trim those down a bit now. And carefully put that there, and I'm just going to give it a slight push in like that all the way around. Handy little tool, this one. Very, because it's got the angles on it and you can use it for different things. So trying to make the ruffles look nice as well. You don't want to kind of get them caught up if you can help it. This might be hard to do with hot glue. You'd have to do it in smaller sections, I'm thinking, because that dries so quickly and you might burn yourself. But small sections, definitely. And if you have a pre-ruffled lace, you could use that. I just, you know, I really like this vintage looking, well, this vintage lace. It is vintage. It just goes so nice. And it's not hard to ruffle your laces. Okay, so I'm going to go around and do that all the way around and adjust as I go, and then I'll be back. Okay, I've come back to the other edge. It almost, you know, was perfect. And what I'm doing is just putting another little bit of glue to overlap there. Like that. And just giving that a little push, and then I'm just going to trim that end bit off because I don't want it too bulky there, and then giving it a push in. Yeah, like that. And then I'll allow that to dry, but I just want to have a look and do any readjusting before it, you know, dries too much. I quite like that, I really do. Yep. And that glue will now dry, and I can have a think about what I'm going to do, whether it needs anything else in there. I love the way that looks. I can take all my pins out now as well. So it obviously works. It works very well, actually. The lovely silk fabric and the linen that I used originally for the first heart with the walnut shell in. Do I have a piece here? Where is it? Can't see where I put it now. But it wasn't a tight weave. It wasn't so tight that you can't get things through. It was cotton, actually, I think, but a nice old cotton. So that's pretty, isn't it? Okay, so now the outside, you may be wondering, what on earth is she going to do? I'm going to use beautiful velvet from Baby Craft. I love this. It's beautiful. And I'm just... and it's probably best to start in here this time. And I'm going to put 2 rows of this, and I'm going to start at the top. So it will go around right to the top edge there, like that. Yep. That's what it will do. Okay, now, thinking of the glue. I may just use this glue. Now, this is art glitter glue. Is that what it's called? It's a good glue. So let me just measure how much I need first. It'll be easier. I'll just measure a little bit more than what I need. About there. A little bit extra. And I need 2 of those. So let's just... This is a nice big roll of velvet. Okay. I think there's 10 yards on this particular roll. Nice generous roll. Okay, so when you put velvet on, you don't want the glue to be seeping through, so, or any fabric on. I don't know about these little cap things. They're very distracting. I'm trying to think whether this is the right bottle to be using or whether I should be using the other one. Maybe I can just smear it out a bit so it's not so globby. And back here as well. Just so it holds the velvet, but it's not going to show through the velvet. Okay. try and push it as far in as I can to that groove there. Okay. There. I'll go do that all the way around. Alright, so that first row is glued on. Now I'm going to do the second row. Now what you need to be careful of is when you're using velvet, there's a nap on the fabric. So if I put that like that, see, there's a difference, but if I put it the opposite way, see how the light catches it in the same place? See that, how the light is catching that? But if I put it that way, see how it's catching it in two different places? That's because there's a nap on the fabric, and it will look different. So when you stroke the fabric, there's a smooth way and there's a rough way. The smooth way on this is going that way, that way. So I want to make sure that when I'm stroking it that way, it's the same, not the rough way down. I want to make sure it's exactly going in the same direction. And that way it will coordinate a lot better than if it were going the other way. See how that, it all shines in the same places. If it were going the other way, like that, it would shine in different places. So I'm going to, that smooth side's there, and my smooth side's here. So I'm going to now glue this piece exactly the same, just overlapping about 1/4 of an inch that top velvet. I'm going to do it exactly the same, and then I'll be back. Okay, so there's our double layer of velvet, which looks a bit weird, doesn't it? But it's okay. I have a plan, and that is the beautiful rhinestone trim from BB Craft. I am going to be putting that around here, and it will sit like that so that you don't even notice the join. I can place it wherever I like, really. I kind of like it just there, and that smaller rhinestone is just sat on top of the join. I could take it a little bit lower if I wanted to, which is actually quite nice as well. And that's where this double row of rhinestones sits on the join. I may do that, actually, and maybe I can put another little trim at the top. That sounds like a good idea. I hadn't thought of that, but let's just see how much of this we need. Okay, I'm going to take it off there. I think that gives me one extra dangle. Where's my... There we go. Gives me 1 or 2 extra little dangles off this roll, because this is the sort of thing you want to have on display. If you're making something with this, you want to see it all the time to appreciate the beauty. I have a few containers that are all glamorized with rhinestones, and it's the way I like to use it because it just it displays them nicely. So that I will start on this side, and I'm going to try and get it so that the bend is in the right spot. Perhaps there, that long one. Okay, that should work. You can kind of maneuver these in and out just a little bit. See the links, how they move in and out? So there's a little bit of give in it. All right, so with this one, I'm back to my craft glue. And I'm going to be careful not to be messy with it because I don't want it showing on the velvet. So I'm going just above that join, and I'm just going to put a bead along like that. And then I'm going to start laying this down. And I'm only going to do small sections at a time with this one. Like that. Oops. Don't want to see the glue. Getting it nice and straight. Can't get in there. Can't get in there. Okay. Because they're both so shiny, it's actually a bit hard for me to see if I've got that lined up properly. I think I have. It looks fairly good. I just see a little bit of glue there that I don't like seeing. So I'm just going to scoop it up. And I think what I'll do is I'll let that set a little bit before I continue on, so that, you know, I can get my hands on it better. So I'll just put it like that and let that set, and then I will continue all the way around and I'll be back. Okay, so I've just been making a little bow out of the velvet, and that's just a matter of getting a strip of velvet, folding one side in, then the other side in, and stitching it in the center and kind of wrapping the thread and pulling it tight to crunch it up a little bit in the middle. And then I stitched these. Oh, they're so sparkly. They're just beautiful. These lovely rhinestone from BB Craft that I was sent as well. They're just lovely, and they have a lovely vintage look about them. I think they're wonderful. And so I've stitched 3 of those on. I could have glued them, but I wanted to stitch them. I like a little bit of movement in it. And now I want to put it on my pincushion. Let me show you what the pincushion looks like at the moment. I am so happy with how it turned out. It turned out better than what I expected it to turn out. It just looks so, so pretty. Very fancy indeed. And what I did was I put the lovely trim on like you saw, and then I had this little piece of braid from Lavish Laces, and I had just enough. This is all I've got left of it, these 2 little pieces. I had just enough to go around twice. So what I did was I put 1 row above the large rhinestone, and then I have this other rhinestone trim from BB Craft, and I'm quite sure it might be a, I'm saying 2mm because it's very, very tiny. It's either 2 or 3. I will try and put it on the screen what it is. I'll try and find it. And then I put another piece of the braid above it. And I just love the way that kind of balances out this heavier trim down here. It's so fancy. And then I thought, well, I need something on the top with it being that fancy. And I want to put this bow just here like this. But can you see how it kind of sits a bit flat? Okay, so we're all done, and this is how it ended up, and I'm really, really happy with it. I ended up putting a little bit of knotted tulle inside of the bow just to give it a little bit of dimension, and I had this a little bit of vintage wedding trim from Lavish Laces, and it had 3 points on it joined all together. So I just cut them apart. I did glue them behind before I cut them apart so the beading didn't come off, and I've popped those there, and I think that finishes it off perfectly, and I'm very, very, very happy with my very fancy pincushion made using the wonderful rhinestone trim from Babycraft, also the 2mm trim from Babycraft. I added the lovely rhinestones, the rectangle rhinestones from Babycraft, along with the gorgeous gold velvet ribbon. I also used some beautiful laces from Lavish Laces as well, and thank you for that, Josella. And I hope you've all enjoyed this tutorial. I did pop a couple of stick pins in here just to, you know, show you what it's for. It's so pretty. I'm very, very happy with it. I think it turned out very, very fancy. And that was my intention, to have a fancy pincushion, and nicely weighted as well. Very happy with the weight it turned out. So not bad for a little box I picked up from the op shop for probably 50 cents. So take care, everybody, and thank you ever so much for watching. Bye.